Yo, what is going on, guys? Got an interesting video for you here today of a woman who says that she realizes feminism is a lie, apparently. Now, I've actually seen a lot of these videos pop up lately where women are regretting feminism. They've come to a new point in their life. They've had an epiphany now. Now, to be honest, I think a lot of this is nonsense, right? They were just hit with a bit of reality that men were walking away. But we're going to be jumping into this video here, and this woman is going to be telling us how she realized that feminism was a lie. So let's jump in. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments.
I used to believe that feminism is a great thing, just like most women and maybe even most people. But obviously, I changed my mind since I've made multiple videos addressing the dangers of modern feminism. And since it's apparently very uncommon for a woman to be skeptical of feminism, lots of people ask me when I started hating my own kind.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If you disagree with feminism these days, you're essentially just labeled as somebody who doesn't like women. People will just be like, oh, you don't like women? How can you not care about women's rights? But we all know that that is not what this movement stands for. It stands for superiority, okay? I don't even understand what rights they're campaigning for. Apparently, there's still a gender pay gap according to these people who are, just completely clueless.
To be skeptical of feminism? Lots of people ask me when I started hating my own kind, which is a great question. I'm kidding, of course, because being critical of feminism doesn't equal hating women. The fact that I even have to explain this is ridiculous, but unfortunately, it's necessary in the world we live in today. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to tell you why I thought feminism was a good thing, and more importantly, the moment I realized it was all a lie. To give you some context, this is where I live, the Netherlands. I grew up in a very progressive country, so of course in school we also got taught about feminism. But when I was a kid, feminism wasn't promoted as extremely as it is now.
Yeah, these days, man, with public schooling, this is something that's incredibly common. Okay, you go to your, let's just say you've got kids or something these days, man. Good chance that they are being brainwashed in school by this nonsense. Right? They have so many diversity, equity, inclusion, all of this sort of stuff jammed into classrooms. Previously, they were teaching things like, English and mathematics, but these days, no, we can't do that anymore. We have to start programming children. These days, it's more about the government programming kids and these people with their ideologies programming children than the actual parents, which I think is just completely wild, guys, that this is even a thing. But yeah, a lot of modern day children, they go to school, they come out the other end indoctrinated, and the parents can't even talk to them because they've just been so heavily indoctrinated by feminism and whatever else they're pushing onto children these days. Really sad. Very scary for parents, by the way, as well, if you have kids.
It was more like men and women are all equal and women can do everything a man can do. And if you follow me for a while now, then you probably know that I think the last one is debatable, since there are natural differences between men and women. But when
Yeah, anyone who has common sense will be able to tell you that there's differences between men and women. I can't go out here and give birth to a child, okay? Men and women are capable of doing very different things. And this actually makes a huge difference depending on the field, by the way. Like, as far as I understand it, I think America had to change their military requirements or something like this to do with their fitness tests because women couldn't get in. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if they can't meet the physical standards, just don't let the women in. Why would you compromise the quality of, of the mission, essentially, of your groups in order to capitulate and try and get people in there who don't belong in there? We have all of these things, man. Men are equal to women. Let's just remove the gender groups in sports, for example. We've all seen how that's been going. We have quite literally biological dudes competing in female sports and just obliterating all of the records instantaneously that women fought so hard to get. Imagine being a woman these days, guys. You're in sports or something. You work your entire damn life to set a record, to become first place, get the gold medal, and then some biological dude just walks in there and bench presses twice whatever the hell you could do like it was nothing. Yeah, real equality we have going on here, isn't it?
that I think the last one is debatable, since there are natural differences between men and women. But when I was a kid, this message of women can do everything a man can do really resonated with me because I was such a tomboy. I was always hanging out with boys, getting into mischief, climbing trees, and just doing all kinds of typical boy stuff. I wasn't the stereotypical girl at all, and I didn't like it when people treated me like one. I didn't want to play with dolls, I wasn't into makeup or fashion until I was like 16, and to be completely honest, I'm still not that into it. So I always really envied boys because they got to do all of the stuff that I wanted to do. At the same time, I was also a very sensitive and empathetic child, which are often seen as more feminine traits. But there wasn't too much room for that because my father always pushed me very hard in school and in sports. He really wanted me to be successful, and he almost kind of treated me like I was his firstborn son. And therefore, when I was younger, I used to be extremely ambitious. I wanted to have a very successful career and make lots of money.
This is something that I see all the time, man, is women will start with this narrative, okay? They'll go into their 20s, they'll go into their young life and think to themselves, well, I want to do everything a man can do. I want to be strong and independent, right? Everybody's telling me that I can be the same as a dude. I just want to go out there, screw this whole family thing, screw the marriage thing, screw finding anything serious. I'm just going to go out there and work very hard on my career. And women are totally allowed to do this, by the way, guys. Go out there. If you're a woman, go out there, get your bag. I don't care. Go out there, make money. I've never been mad at, women for going out there and trying to make money. I don't particularly give a damn. But what a lot of these women fail to realize is that when you go out here and do this, this has a cost to it, right? It has an opportunity cost. And so women start to approach 30 and then they don't like the opportunity cost anymore. They want to back away, but the damage is already done. Oftentimes by this point, they're pushing 30. They're incredibly masculine. They're realizing, now I need to have children. Now I need to get married. It is crunch time. I am running out of time to have kids. And the dudes are just sitting there like, you didn't want us this whole time. Why should we want you now? Like for a lot of guys, they will see a video like this and they'll think to themselves, yeah, too little, too late. I don't care. And I'm in the same boat, man. Nobody forced these women to believe in this garbage. They wanted to. They absolutely did. But now they see the bills coming in. They see the biological clock ticking, right? They're trying to farm an audience of dudes who think that she's somehow unique. And then they make videos like this. But for a lot of guys, it is really too little, too late. As far as I'm concerned, they should still keep going on the womanism path. Go out there, become a feminist. Keep going. This is the equality that you fought for. You made your bed. I would say personally, lie in it. Let's keep going here.
Me like I was his firstborn son. And therefore, when I was younger, I used to be extremely ambitious. I wanted to have a very successful career and make lots of money. And I wanted to do all of that while being on a national field hockey team as well. And while doing all of that, I also thought I could be a great mother, because that is what I saw on TV. And not only on TV, of course, because there is feminist indoctrination everywhere. The stories of today are almost always based on a strong female character. A girl who has to make it in a male-dominated world.
Yeah, so long story short, this woman, she actually had the family thing in there, but she thought she could do everything. She thought that she could have the family, she could have the successful career, she could go out here and be a sports person at the same time, that she could do everything at the same time. And this is what women fail to realize until they're 30 and they've been unsuccessful in all these areas, right? So like I see this all the time, man. They approach 30, not only is their biological clock ticking, they've got to get married, have kids, whatever, if they want to do that, which a lot of them, they want to because it's crunch time. But then on top of that, by the time they get here, usually they have an incredible amount of student debt. Obviously, the majority of them aren't successful. So on top of this, now they need a man to come along and save them. They need that man who they didn't give a damn about to come and save them now that she is in this pickle that she has found herself in. And I say found herself in there, but really they did just put themselves there, to be honest with you. Right? This is nothing but the consequences of their own actions. And then they're like, wait a minute, I don't like feminism anymore. I was lied to. Not my problem, man,
could be a great mother, because that is what I saw on TV. And not only on TV, of course, because there is feminist indoctrination everywhere. The stories of today are almost always based on a strong female character, a girl who has to make it in a male-dominated world. And she always has such a disadvantage just because she's a girl, but she ends up succeeding anyway, despite all odds. And when it comes to romantic stories, it's always the girl who challenges the guy that she likes, and that's what makes him fall in love with her. But why?
This is, yeah, guys, I can't wait to have a relationship with a woman who's challenging. I'm so excited. This reminds me of a woman that we covered recently, guys, and she was like, yeah, I'm the debater. I'm good at debating. And I'm just sitting here thinking, oh no. You know, men don't want, I've said this on the video many times, man. Men don't want a woman who's going to challenge them, okay? They don't want arguments. They don't want friction. They don't want these debates or whatever the hell you'd like to call them, which really just translates to arguments anyway. The dudes aren't interested in this. And also, she is absolutely right here about the modern day media characters, man. All of the women that they put in these days are like completely competent. You know, they know exactly what they're doing. They have a plan. They're ambitious, ruthless, assertive. And then the dudes that they put in, they're either some evil old dude, right, who's the villain, or they're the main character who's hopelessly in love with the woman and he's completely incompetent. He has no plan. He's very, very socially awkward. He can't do anything correctly. He has no assertiveness whatsoever. Like, basically, the main characters of the men are complete weasels these days. And the main characters of the women are just assertive as hell, and they've got a plan on top of plan, you know? It's disgusting, man. It really is disgusting.
What did that teach me? Basically that I need to have a successful career in order to be respected by society, and that I need to go around challenging the guys that I like in order to find true love. And those were actually my beliefs as a teenager. But that's the complete opposite of how I think about those things now. And it all goes back to a very specific moment when I was 16 that completely changed my mind about feminism and my beliefs. You see, my parents' relationship had already fallen apart by then. They were divorced. And the funny thing is that I actually come from quite a traditional household where my dad was mostly the breadwinner and my mom, she worked part-time to take care of the kids. But they had a very toxic relationship and they didn't respect each other at all. And I don't want to go too much into detail about that on the internet, but I saw their relationship and I thought, never in my life do I want such a horrible relationship with someone. And on top of that, I wasn't popular at all in school, also not with guys, and I also got bullied. And I was actually quite depressed as a teenager.
Just by the way, man, let's just stop here for a second. Women will say crap like this. They'll be like, yeah, you know, it sucks, obviously, if her home life was awful, not taking away from that. That obviously sucks if the parents are at each other's throats and whatever. But, like, do you need to be popular with men at school? You know what I'm saying? Like, how is this a detriment, by the way? Number one, you can still get a relation. You can find your high school sweetheart as a woman. You don't need to be popular with dudes. I don't understand this logic, man. Like, women treat it like they need thousands of men as potential options. I was never popular with men. Men didn't like me very much. I guarantee you there were dudes who would still be interested in this woman. You know, who would still be her childhood sweetheart or something like this, even coming out of school, going into adulthood and things like this. There's always dude options. But the thing is, they never want these guys until they reach older ages. And then they're like, you know what? Let's give this guy who's been loyal and chasing me the entire time, let's give him a chance now, because essentially I need his resources and I need his stability. You know, like, you don't need to be the popular girl at school. You don't need to have all of these dudes chasing you. It's completely insane, man.
Relationship with someone. And on top of that, I wasn't popular at all in school, also not with guys, and I also got bullied, and I was actually quite depressed as a teenager. I just remember thinking, my life really sucks. But around that time, I also discovered self-development content on YouTube. And I was especially interested in relationship stuff because I never really had a good example of what a healthy relationship is supposed to look like. And by accident, I came across this pickup artist YouTube channel. He was a a Dutch guy giving dating advice to men. And you know, I was kind of curious what kind of advice men get. So I watched a few of his videos, and to be honest, I was kind of shocked in the beginning because he kind of talked about women like they're objects, which I really didn't like. But the content was all about how to make women respect you and how to approach them in nightclubs and stuff, which is, by the way, the worst place to meet someone, in my opinion, if you want to meet a high quality person at least.
Yeah, I agree with this, man. And I also think that approaching women these days for a lot of guys is just completely outdated, and it's a complete waste of time. You know, I'll see videos like this, like, yeah, go and approach all of these women and go do this. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, hell no. I don't want to do this. Like, not only are a lot of the women not worth approaching anyway, but also approaching them comes with a lot of risk. Okay, you can get called the creepy guy, especially if you do it at somewhere like the gym or your work or whatever. You get called the creepy guy, you get labeled these sorts of things. And by the way, if you're attractive to the women, like, you don't even need to approach the men. These women will just randomly follow you on social media. You know, like, there'll be some woman who will be highly interested in you. She'll get a hold of your Instagram somehow. She will make an effort to talk to you. Like, let's be real about it, guys. Like, women make it so damn easy for the dudes that they're attracted to. The women who go out to nightclubs, bars, and things like this, I want to make it clear that a lot of them already have a dude in mind that they want to hook up with. You know, all these girls, what they do is they go to the club, but before then, they already know. They have already talked to the dude that they're interested in on Instagram, and they will probably end up back at his house anyway. You see, like, they have already decided. They've got their plan for the night. And a lot of guys, they're like, oh, let me go out there and approach women and make them interested in me. But truthfully, she's already sold on another. That's why she's going out there anyway. I mean, she'll take the free attention. She'll take the free drinks, you know, the free validation. But a lot of these women are just not interested. Also, women told men not to approach them, by the way. Like, have we all forgotten this? I know the men really haven't. You said you didn't want men to approach you. Like, I find this content to be very funny, guys, where, like, men are still encouraged to approach women as if it's worth it, and women haven't been telling men to do the opposite the entire time.
Least, I don't think you're going to find that in a nightclub. But the main thing I realized from watching his content is that men almost don't care at all about your career or about how much money you make. And what I also realized is how hard it is for a guy to actually approach a woman and deal with rejection. Because my god, that stuff is just ruthless. And this is something that most women just don't realize. Because we usually don't have to deal with rejection from guys to that degree. And where you almost have to fight for a woman to even noticed you.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Women actually don't have to deal with rejection at all if they don't want to. This is the privilege of being a modern woman. You will simply have options. You know, like, if you're a girl, you actually don't have to risk this whatsoever. You don't have to go out there and approach 1,000 guys. The men who are going to be interested in you will make their interest known at some point as well, oftentimes. Like, yes, there are a lot of guys who are walking away from dating, but women just passively gain options throughout their entire life. You can be a woman, you can have a marriage, you can have kids, you can have a long-term relationship without ever risking rejection whatsoever. Completely crazy to me, man. And also, just by the way, yeah, dudes go out here, they deal with rejection. It's a pain in the ass. Like, trying to make a woman like you is such a stupid exercise to me, man. Like, why the hell are dudes out here trying to convince women to like them when the men that they're attracted to have to do no convincing, by the way? Like, you have to take her out on a date, you have to get her flowers, you have to plan everything, but the attractive guy who she matched with on a dating application has to do no convincing. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just not interested. I'm severely not interested.
Deal with rejection from guys to that degree, and where you almost have to fight for a woman to even notice you. Not to say that women don't deal with rejection, but it's a different kind of rejection, usually later on when the woman realizes that the guy is actually not that serious about her. And I'm not—
Yeah, see, this I have no empathy for, right? So this woman is talking about rejection that women experience, but the kind of rejection that women experience is they go out there, they hook up with a guy, they give her body to someone, you know, and then they feel rejected because the man won't give them a relationship. There is such an easy fix to this. Do you know what this is? Don't give your body to a dude without either A, securing a relationship, or B, securing marriage. But gone are those days, guys, right? Because that's oppressive towards women. That's controlling women. Telling women to have self-respect and using common sense apparently means that you don't like women. Women could avoid this problem altogether if they just didn't hook up with dudes because they found them attractive without a relationship. Women fail to secure commitment, and then they complain that dudes quote-unquote use them for their bodies, which, by the way, again, this is a two-way street. Women are going out here and they are choosing to hook up with these men, and I'm supposed to feel empathy when the dudes reject them. No.
Usually later on when the woman realizes that the guy is actually not that serious about her. And I'm not saying that's necessarily always better, because that can also really emotionally damage you, but it's a different kind of rejection. But watching this dating advice for guys really changed my perspective on relationships, because I honestly didn't know what kind of struggles men had. I mean, I was 16, so I probably didn't really know anything about life, but still. And I kind of felt betrayed, you know, as if I was finding out that Santa isn't actually real. So yeah, that really made me start my learnings about female and male relationship dynamics. Because I was very much aware of the fact that everything I'd learned about relationships up until that point was completely wrong. Either from my parents, from school, or from TV. And from that moment, I almost made it my life's mission to not fall into the trap of a miserable marriage.
You know, guys, if this woman had her realization at 16, it's whatever. Like, that to me is a lot more better of an option than having it when you're 30. But I don't know where the truth here lies. Oftentimes, guys, when women make these videos, it's like they say that they regret womanism, but really they just regret it because they've come to a point in their life where they actually need a man. That's usually what I see when I see these videos being made. Now, if she changed her mind at 16, that would be way better, obviously, than changing your mind when you're like 28, 29, whatever, you're looking to have kids or marriage. But yeah, a lot of women are just changing their minds, apparently, when they reach nearly 30 years of age, coincidentally. And just by the way, most women don't give a damn about a dude's struggles ever. They don't care about men's struggles with dating. They don't care about men's economic struggles or any of the things that they're going on with their life. You know, like, women simply do not care. A lot of them, most of them, in fact, will just sit there and they'll just wait for the dudes who become successful, or they'll wait for the attractive men and then they'll just choose from this pool of men. They don't care about the dudes who are struggling. So this lines up pretty well too.
I almost made it my life's mission to not fall into the trap of a miserable marriage. And I've learned so much from basically just watching YouTube videos. Not from pickup artists, by the way, but from more legit psychologists and dating experts. But I think it's very funny that pickup artist content was actually my first wake-up call that modern feminism is actually very toxic. And I was lucky to realize that very early on in my life, because I was only 16 and I hadn't really dated anyone yet, so it was before a lot of damage could be done. The funny thing is that I actually get a lot of comments from people who think that my parents were just amazing and that they taught me all of this stuff, but the complete opposite is true. My motivation for learning about relationships came from a very deep desire to not repeat my parents' mistakes. And I have to say, it worked out great for me because I actually found love. But if I hadn't done all of that work, I'm pretty sure that I would have gone down a much darker path.
So that's good to hear. If this woman, you know, she got into a relationship when she was young and she's still in that relationship, that's fantastic. That would be a far better outcome than the alternative that a lot of these modern women do. If this woman figured out, you know, she was rejecting womanism at 16, got into a relationship at like 18 or whatever, and now she's this age and she's had this relationship the whole time, that's fantastic. I'm just always very, very skeptical of these videos, I'll say that. But, you know, if she's had a long-term relationship ever since she was quite young, that's fantastic, man. That is a lot better than what a lot of young women are doing these days, man. Like, some women, they get to the age of 19 and they've already been with a bunch of dudes. Like, what in the hell is that? Now, that's obviously if this woman can be believed, which I don't even know who this woman is really. But yeah, hopefully she's had that long-term successful relationship ever since she was younger. I think she'll be a lot better off than women these days, to be honest with you.
And that dark path is actually a reality for lots of women. And for men, of course, but in a different way. Just because people don't know any better. And I would never claim that feminists are bad people. Feminists have just absorbed what their society tells them is true.
I mean, I can do it. I think they're bad people. I mean, if she's not going to say it, I'll say it. I think that they're not fantastic people whatsoever, man. Like, we can keep making excuses for these women and just saying, oh, they just believed in society's lies and things like this. But let's not ignore the fact that they wanted to believe in this stuff. That's why they followed it so fervently, you know? But the reason, you know, a lot of these girls come to regret womanism when the bills need paying, or they start to approach the age of 30. Not because, oh, they realized that they were brainwashed or something like this. It's like, no, the ideology no longer served them anymore. They have to ditch it because it doesn't benefit them. The reason why they took it in the first place was not because it was true, not because it was right, not because it was logical, but because it benefited them. And now, because it doesn't benefit them anymore, a lot of women just simply discard this. And that's the way it's been going, man. It's not like, oh, these poor women just got lied to. Like, yes, obviously they've been lied to. Obviously they've been scammed, but they chose to believe it because it benefited them. So do I feel a lot of sympathy for these women, you know, who come to this realization as a whole? Generally not. Generally not.
Feminists are bad people. Feminists have just absorbed what their society tells them is true. And you can't blame people for wanting to be part of the culture they were born into. And of course, in the end, we're all responsible for our own actions and for fixing our own lives. Which I personally try to do as much as I can. At the end of the day, I'm just someone who's trying to figure out life just like you. I just want to share the insights I've gathered along the way. And apparently some people find that interesting. And if you're one of these people, you should really subscribe and watch this video next.
Yeah, so here's the thing, by the way, is like, this video, women aren't going to see this video and be convinced, unfortunately. Like, what's going to happen is this woman's just going to get attacked by the feminists. You know, how dare you? You don't like women. You don't believe in women type things. Like, women who make videos like this, by the way, they just get completely attacked by these women. They don't listen. They're too far gone. And then they'll reach 30 and they'll try and say a similar thing and then cry about it when men don't care anymore. But guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. As always, make sure you leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves out there, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.